As My Hero Academia's final season has finally begun, this absolute juggernaut of a series is officially closing its curtains. Hopefully. It's not a stretch to say this is the closest we have got to the successor of the big three, cause some shows don't gain enough popularity and the ones that do often end too soon. But MHA not only consistently delivered for 10 years, it also became massive in the anime community, sometimes for the worse.
You are my tattoo, my only tattoo.
And as bittersweet as it is to say goodbye and move on, I also think there couldn't be a better time to honor and celebrate its legacy. Over the remaining few weeks of the show, I'll be revisiting every MHA season in their own dedicated videos. 7 seasons, 7 videos. Now these aren't going to be plain recap videos. My goal is not to just retell the story you already know, it's to rediscover it, to find new layers, new appreciation, and definitely new critiques along the way. So without wasting any more time, let's go back to where it all began. My Hero Academia Season 1. The first couple of episodes for any story are extremely important. It's the only opportunity the author has to not only hook the audience, but also in a way show them and promise them that this is what you can expect from my story. And that's where we get to My Hero Academia. MHA portrays many themes throughout its run. It can be as fictional as what it means to be a hero, but also as deeply rooted in reality as child abuse. But to me, the series has always been about hope. And you don't have to look beyond the first 2 episodes to realize this. The first episode starts with all men are not created equal. After the first incident in China, reports of people with superpowers popped up across the globe. Superhero comics are now a reality and 80% of the world's population has a quirk. But Izuku Midoriya was born without one. This doesn't just mean his dream of becoming a hero is just that, a dream. It means his entire life is miserable. When you look back at how far he has come and what kind of hero he eventually becomes, you forget just how sad Midoriya was before getting One for All. He was constantly bullied for something completely out of his control, told to off himself by his own friend, and spent every day feeling beneath everyone else. He was forced to give up on his dream, and yet he still kept chasing it. He was quite literally coping. He was fully aware that nothing he did would ever amount to anything. But what Midoriya never gave up was hope. In his heart, he always believed if he just kept working hard, some stroke of miracle would make his dream a reality. He studied all about heroes and their abilities. He had it all noted down. Every move, every tactic. He did everything that he could possibly do as a quirkless kid. But more than anything, Izuku had the heart of a true hero. The kind that would risk everything to save someone in need. And when his bully Bakugo was attacked by a villain, every hero on the scene stepped back. Even All Might was out of commission. The whole situation felt hopeless. Izuku was terrified too, completely paralyzed with fear. Until he saw Bakugo's face. Despite being quirkless, despite just moments ago giving up on his dream, despite being looked down on his entire life, even by the very person he was about to save, Izuku didn't care. In that moment, he wasn't thinking about dreams or power or recognition. He just saw someone suffering and he had to act. That's who he is. That's who he has always been. And these efforts have not gone unnoticed. All Might's own ethics and passion for heroism are put into question, only to be reignited by Midoriya, which is one of the best setups for a main character I have ever seen. He inspired the greatest hero to ever walk the planet to step up and take action. This is what makes a hero a fucking hero. And as he walks back home, actively giving up on his dream, he's confronted with All Might. And the conversation that precedes is everything My Hero Academia is about. It is the golden moment of MHA. All Might expresses how Midoriya's actions inspired him to act. At first he's taken aback, what is going on? But as he continues, he realizes what this is.
There are stories about every hero, how they became great. Most have one thing in common. Their bodies moved before they had a chance to think.
At this moment, for some reason, his mind flashes back to every time he's been reminded that he isn't good enough, that he lacks what it takes. Even his own mother dejected his dream. And now, when his idol, the one person he looked up to his entire life, is finally telling him the words he desperately wanted to hear, he can't help but fall on his knees and cry. Someone outside of him, for the first time, has realized his dream.
Young man, you too can become a hero.
Hope springs in Izuku and in you. I've always wondered why this moment means so much to me. I've known this kid for 40 minutes now, why do I care? It's because moments like these go beyond the show itself. They break the barrier of fiction to pierce through your heart and stay with you. Almost all of us can see a piece of ourselves in this moment. Maybe it's your mom, your dad, a sibling, a friend, someone you look up to putting their trust in you and saying, "You can do it. I believe in you." And unfortunately, if you don't have anyone like that, then this moment becomes that for you. This show becomes that voice. It gives you hope. You remember the first episode started with all men are not created equal. Well, the second episode ends with dreams can become a reality. And this is the story of how I became the world's greatest hero. Now, before continuing with the story and discussing Bakugo vs Deku and their entire relationship, I'd like to take a quick break and talk about One For All. Firstly, the narrative that Deku didn't deserve One For All and was just gifted is so flawed. He literally proved his worth and trained his ass off for 10 straight months. Not even to use this power, but just to get his body ready to inherit it. A single punch wrecked his entire body. So yeah, he still had to keep training and get better. I mean, even by season 6, he can only comfortably use just 45% of this power. But putting that aside, I love One For All. At first, it's a pretty straightforward quirk that simply enhances its user's physical strength. And yes, it's just that. But what makes it interesting are its limitations. Deku's body can't handle the immense power. Every time he uses it, he risks breaking himself. That instantly raises the stakes. Every punch he throws matters. You're not just watching him fight, you're worried about how much his body can take. And that vulnerability pushes Deku to think outside the box, implementing creative, clever ways to use One For All without destroying himself. Add that in with the rich and deep history that this quirk holds, which we will talk about in later seasons, make this one of the best quirks in the entire series. Midoriya finally has a quirk, he's joined UA High, making new friends, and now he actually has a clear goal to work towards. And I think I know someone who's not all too happy about this. Battle Training Arc is the first time we see the class fight against each other, and also the first time their quirks are used in an actual battle. But more than anything, this arc explores and sets up the complicated dynamic between Midoriya and Bakugo. Yes, a classic battle shonen rivalry. Now, Katsuki Bakugo has been carefully written to be everything that Deku isn't. He was born with a powerful quirk that made him believe he was destined for greatness from a young age, while Deku was born with nothing, living his entire life in doubt and fear. Bakugo scored 77 points in the entrance exam, all coming from villain defeats, while Deku earned 0 combat points but received 60 rescue points, which is a very early setup to what will become the win to save and save to win dynamic. Since the very first episode, Horikoshi has made sure to constantly remind us of how different these two are. And now in the arena, those differences are finally forced to clash. But interestingly, it's not these differences that define this rivalry. They have always coexisted this way. What really ignites this conflict is Bakugo's perception of betrayal. He genuinely despises Deku. To him, he is nothing but a pesky, weak bug. And now suddenly he discovers Deku's new quirk and his entire world just flipped upside down. If Deku can do do that using just one finger, then what does that mean? To Bakugo, it looks like the weak nobody he always pitied was secretly mocking him all along, pretending to be helpless while hiding a powerful quirk. Of course, we know none of this is true, but Bakugo doesn't. All he sees is an unworthy guy trying his damn hardest to prove how much he has changed. This Deku is not useless, he is more than worthy enough to stay here and stand shoulder to shoulder with everyone else. He belongs here. And Bakugo was having none of this, it was all just rage bait to him. It's genuinely insane the way Bakugo was portrayed here. I mean, we all knew this dude had some serious issues, but this level of hatred and malice is scary. The anime even played the villain's theme score during this fight. He was not pretending to be a villain, his hatred was beyond one. And yet, he's the most popular character of the series. Cause he's not a flat bully archetype character who is pissed off at everything and anything, cause that's what his personality trope is. Bakugo's anger towards Deku is not born from slight annoyance or shallow reasons like, oh, he's just a damn nerd and should jump off the building. It's an intense, desperate reaction born from what society has taught him to value. Ever since he got his quirk, everyone around him praised him and put him on a pedestal for being gifted. His teachers, his friends, and everyone else have treated him as if he was special because of these powers. This instills a mindset of associating his self-worth with his strength. He needs to make sure he's the best. He needs to win every fight. Because if he doesn't, then what is his worth? But okay, this explains his immense pride, but why beat down Deku? What did he do? Obviously, no one told Bakugo to bully the weak, but if you teach your children that superiority is to be praised, then naturally they learn the opposite as well. Inferiority is to be looked down upon. And Bakugo is so terrified of even appearing weak that he lashes out at anyone who threatens that image. So when Deku dares to ask if he needs help, it hits him like an insult. The strongest don't need help, especially not from someone quirkless. And he has carried this burden into his teenage years. He gets actively paranoid even at the slightest thought of losing to Deku. That's how big his pride has become. But really, ever since he joined UA, his ego has only been crushed. Not only did he lose to Deku in this fight, but he has also realized just how weak he is when compared to some other students. It's like he was living in a bubble so far, and only now it has burst, and we are here watching him crash out. But this fight should not even have escalated this far, to the point where they might have killed each other. And that's where All Might's flaws as a teacher come in. He was the only pro-adult in that situation. It was his job to make sure the fight was safe, and he didn't. Not because he thought it would benefit both the students or the class by watching this match. He didn't stop the fight because he thought that's what Deku would have wanted. He realized how Bakugo is almost mentally breaking down over this defeat, but still didn't give the right guidance Bakugo needed in that moment. So even though he says he can't show favoritism towards Deku, he most certainly can. And by the time All Might reached out to Bakugo, it was too late. His already toxic pre-existing worldview has only been further solidified. The winners get All Might's attention and the loser is ignored. So yes, Bakugo is extremely flawed and toxic, but this arc does a great job in illustrating how these problems have been manifested in ways that you can't blame him entirely. The series starts with showing the contrasting difference between Izuku and Bakugo, but this arc delves into how similar both of them are. Their struggles don't come from who they are as people, but rather from the world they live in, the people who surround them, and how the society has failed these kids. Midoriya was raised to believe he would never rise, while Bakugo was told he couldn't possibly fall. And now, while they are the polar opposites, what unites them is the drive to become the greatest heroes. They really are just two contrasting answers to the same question. USJ Rescue Training Arc is undoubtedly the highlight of this season. Not only is it the first time we see the dark world of villains and the chaos that comes with it, but so far except 2 or 3 students and a couple of teachers, the entire cast is kinda non-existent to us. We don't know much about them and have no reason to give a shit. So before ending this introduction phase and getting into the meat of the story, that is season 2, it was crucial for Horikoshi to use this arc and somehow set these characters up. But Hori, being the master master that he is, went a step ahead and made these kids very likable in just 4 episodes. And how he manages to do this is by separating this huge cast and smartly grouping these characters in a way that brings out the best in everyone. For example, Kaminari, being the carefree goofball that he is, helps bring Jiro and Momo out of their shells and actually talk. It's not like we got extensive backstories or long character arcs. All we really saw were these three interacting, and that alone was enough to understand their personalities and how they bounce off each other. I know it sounds simple, but getting the audience this familiar and attached to your characters within just 10 to 15 minutes is simply great character writing. Jiro, by the way, is one of my favorite characters in the whole series, and it's easy to see why.
We're lucky that worked out so well. I'm sorry. Next time I'll ask before saving our butts. I'm a savage. Yeah. Classy.
This arc also introduces the main antagonist of the show, the symbol of fear, Tomura Shigaraki. And immediately what I love about this introduction is how terrifying it is. Firstly, this manga panel, which is still iconic to this date, but also the entire situation goes completely out of control and chaotic right as soon as the villains infiltrate. So far, the story has been under control of a pro hero or UA, and everything that has happened is supervised to make sure nothing goes wrong. So the stakes, while still high on an emotional level, were pretty low when it came to the danger or the emergency of a situation. And now suddenly everything goes rogue. Aizawa almost dies, Wash is washed, and the entire class is separated with no guarantee of anyone's safety. For the first time, Class A and V experience what it is to be attacked by villains. And the beacon of this fear is Shigaraki. And no, he's not this genius villain who strategically planned everything. And he's not the strongest either. The Nomu literally exists because Shigaraki isn't strong enough on his own. The truth is, he's very dependent on his team for everything. He's immature, takes rash decisions fueled by anger, and completely loses his composure when things don't go his way. He's not this perfect, untouchable villain, and that's deliberate, because what makes Shigaraki terrifying isn't his strength or intellect, it's his hatred, his deep burning resentment towards All Might and everything the hero society stands for. That hatred is the foundation for something far more dangerous. Right now he's flawed and incomplete, but that's the point. We are not watching an antagonist who's already reached his peak while the protagonist tries to catch up. We are watching two inexperienced people grow side by side. Deku and Shigaraki, both weak, both learning, but each driven by completely opposite ideals. One desires to save, while the other craves to destroy. And the villains are here to kill All Might using a bioengineered Nomu that can withstand All Might's superhuman strength. And this fight exemplifies why All Might is and will be the cornerstone of My Hero Academia. Everything comes back to All Might. All Might vs Nomu is truly the most grand and explosive fight the series has shown till this point. And it is in this fight that Horikoshi choked me by my neck and hooked me on this series for years to come. Everything about this fight is 10 on 10 chef's kiss perfection, and it starts right from the build up to this point, because even before All Might shows up at the scene, this entire arc was all about him. Randomly he decided to overdo his hero work so he wouldn't be able to attend the students' training. The villains are here to kill him, and Class A and the pros are just halting time and waiting desperately for All Might to arrive. Everything was about him. And so far, it all seemed like classic battle shonen, the all-powerful hero being late to a battle for whatever reason, but making it just in time to save the day. Something like Goku's last moment appearance in the Saiyan arc. And for the most part, it is. Deku is on the verge of being killed, and boom, doors blast open, hype soundtrack starts playing, and a tall, muscular figure walks his way in. All Might is here. But he's not smiling. All Might, the hero who shines his big white smile, arrives at the scene for the very first time with a frown. That's when the mood shifts and you realize the reality of it all. While Goku would overpower the enemy with his immaculate strength, All Might before the fight even starts is already working on borrowed time. So while his presence is a huge relief, it does come with a bulk load of even more tension. While everyone is celebrating this win, only you and Midoriya know the truth.
It's gonna be alright. Just sit back and watch a pro at work!
Whoa guys, hot take incoming. I think this fight was hype as shit. I know I'm crazy. While there isn't much to talk about the action itself, cause it's literally just an Unk punching a monster, but the monster has specifically been bioengineered to withstand those punches. So how does the Unk solve this big, seemingly unsolvable problem? He punches harder. Yeah, I love MHA fights. So instead, I want to talk about what this fight means to the story and how it perfectly sets up the hollow husk that All Might's heroism is. When you think about it, even though All Might is supposed to be this world's all-powerful Superman-esque character, we have mostly seen him only fail throughout this season, as a hero and as a teacher. Cause even though All Might wants to be the symbol of peace, who by his own can put the entire country at ease, the reality is he's stuck in a world that is far more complex and dark than that. So he's always under tremendous pressure to be something that he isn't. His entire character and the symbol that he wants to be is just a husk, a mask that is hiding a weak man who's way past his prime, trying to live up to his own extravagant ambition, trying to hold the entire nation on his shoulders only to fail again and again. The threat of evil is only getting stronger while his ever weakening shoulders just can't take it. But he refuses to give up. He refuses to accept the reality. He refuses to settle for anything but his own ideologies that he has drilled in his heroism. He'll go beyond plus ultra and smash through any barrier in his way, reassuring the world with a big wide smile that everything is going to be fine. Cause he is here. And this internal conflict is what makes his character so interesting. It sets up All Might as an obviously powerful character, but also exposes how much of his persona is fake, something that can crumble at any moment. It's a mask, and when that mask comes off, you know the entire world will be shaken at its core. And that's my review of season 1. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, then please subscribe. The script for this video almost turned into my fucking suicide note. Subscribing genuinely means a lot. Also turn on the notifications to watch the season 2 video as soon as it comes out. I think I'll get it out soon. But apart from that, be safe, be nice, and I'll see you guys the next time. Goodbye.